Okay. Art came looking for me once. And the strange thing is, I think it used to come looking for everyone. It found people in songs that made them cry and in films that left them speechless. Art used to interrupt our lives, though it didn't knock on my door or send me a message. It arrived quietly, through the melody in the background, or through a scene in a film that made me stare at the ceiling once it was over. But somewhere along the way, the arts got lost in translation. Not with a bang, not with a headline, but quietly, almost politely. No funeral or obituary. The arts passed and got uploaded into the iCloud of our memories, just like that. I was 7 years old when my parents asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I remember telling them that I only wanted one thing, a calendar. But not just any calendar, no. A Beatles calendar for the year 2016. Now, art had already found its way to me. And since then, I've wondered, what happens when art stops looking for us, and we stop looking for it? The calendar was an odd request for a child, I'm aware, but it was the kind of request that belonged to a different time, a time before me. What leads me to believe that may have been the first and perhaps the last time such a request was made. We might be the last generation that got to experience goosebumps from a great song or an inevitable jaw drop from the plot twist of an amazing film. I mean, who knew, right? That the older half of Gen Z would be the last wave of individuals that got the privilege to fully experience the cultural impact of real art. Now, I know it's a known fact that art is a subjective concept, defined solely by those who experience it, those who feel it. But what happens if we forgot how to feel? Our society as a whole, I mean, we're overexposed to thousands of compressed content, tailored algorithms that reward attention instead of meaning and hyper-productivity. Ads are spoon-fed into our screens, begging us to consume until there's nothing left. The digital world has rotted our brain and stolen our ability to admire and appreciate quality. Actually, averaging attention spans now stand at 6 seconds. 6 seconds, and it's getting shorter by the minute. Today's world now moves at such a fast pace, but what's the rush? Really, I mean, when was the last time you stopped to look around, touch some grass, or put a record on? Now, art, as in its brief definition, is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, the producing of works to be admired primarily for their beauty or emotional power. But nowhere along the lines of this verbal reduction of its true meaning lies the impact that it used to have. The arts could move mountains, cure illness, or mend a broken heart. They could sit beside you quietly and somehow understand what you could understand for yourself. Entire generations once found pieces of their lives reflected in a single song or in a single movie. Because art was never just a decoration or noise to fill the silence. It was a form of catharsis. It was a place where human emotion could be felt fully and without apology. Now, if there's anywhere to begin, it's with music. And how could I ever begin to describe my dearest friend? Music used to help people process feelings like grief, love, identity, or as a form of rebellion. It could sit with you in your room at night when the world felt too heavy. It used to hold our emotions and provide lyrics that moved our soul. Now, I refer to music in the past tense not because it no longer exists, but because the soul that once lived inside it seems to be fading. Its quality, its depth, and its purpose are inevitably decaying. Music's effectiveness is now measured simply in its marketability. How much did the song make? Is it trending on TikTok already? We stopped paying attention to the things that actually mattered in music and focused on its profit. Songs used to be works of art that shared meaning, that touched our souls. I mean, music created its own world. You could feel it in your heart and you could feel it in your soul. It was a safe refuge from the noise, from the outside world, or even from yourself. Music used to unite people without looking for perfection, just a reaction from those who actually listened. No autotune, just voices cracking on high notes and fingers playing on strings, playing the melodies that held our parents' hands and their parents' hands before them. And somewhere along the way, we stopped looking at music as something that we could lean on, and it became something we scrolled past. I mean, ask your parents. Music used to be something we sat down to listen to, album by album and track by track. They sat in their bedrooms listening to CDs and reading the lyrics while a song was playing. They then collected posters that came with records to hang up on their walls. I mean, come on, this is actual proof that even physical media used to be a whole intricate category of art by itself, from the album cover art to the track list and to the lyrics. Art held our parents' hands and thousands of generations before us. And similar to every Gen X dad, the Beatles will always be my greatest inspiration. They held my hand while giving my first steps, drove me to school on the first day, and lit the candles for every birthday. Now, my love for them has led me to decide that I know them personally. And I know it might sound crazy, but if my passion for this band sounds ridiculous to you, it might be a sign that you're starting to join them. Those who have learned to consume music, but have forgotten how to feel it. And surprising enough, music isn't the only art form that has followed this fate. Films once used to be capable of shaking audiences to their core, leaving them speechless, and looking at the ceiling for hours, questioning their entire existence. Movies left us speechless and shook our entire worlds. We submerged ourselves into fantastic worlds and unforgettable characters that changed culture forever. Directors once had the creative freedom to explore difficult themes that left a mark, that created an unforgettable feeling. I mean, even going to the cinema used to feel almost sacred. The feeling of sitting in a dark room with a bunch of strangers that have lived different lives up until that same moment in which we all share the same emotional journey. But now, movies feel the need to compete with our phones, second screens, and that 6-second attention span. A film used to demand your attention for hours, but today, it's a constant race with a notification every 30 seconds. Now studios prioritize franchise remakes and how profitable the content will be. It's all about revenue now. Films disappear into catalogs in a week, and what once was a part of culture now is designed to be easily consumed rather than deeply felt. I mean, also, people quoting films is also a lost art. I remember the first time I watched Fight Club was a night I'll never forget. I finished the film with a blurry vision and tears running down my face, not because it was sad, but because I genuinely couldn't believe the absolute masterpiece I had the chance to encounter. Art in its purest form, a life lesson even. And that's what great films used to do. They stayed with you. They became part of who you were, how you spoke, and in the case of this incredible film, even how you understood the world. I mean, there once was also a time where people carried lines from films with them. After finishing Dead Poets Society, I never let go of the truest dialogue ever said. We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Now, where did this passion go? It used to be something so fulfilling. The arts were the original nutrients for the mind and the nurturing for the soul. The arts kept us alive. And the problem here is that producing or consuming art is no longer encouraged and passion is nowhere to be found. The arts seem to keep tarnishing, and they slip through the cracks and they slip through our fingers. Everything is mainstream, and I'm so sick and tired of the dull and lifeless industry. Everything is measured in a simple scheme with profit as its common denominator. We lost all diversity and devotion, the art that was produced in the age that bred us. Art used to be something political. It challenged us. It made us question the world around us and everything that was happening in the world. Now tell me, when was the last time you heard a song that made you cry out of pure joy? Or watched a movie that had you staring at the ceiling for hours? Art has become content, something produced quickly and disposed of just as fast. And personally, I deeply yearn for the art born at a time in which I wasn't even born, but got lucky enough to experience and hold close to my heart like my own. The truth is that this art that I long for wasn't even born in my day. I yearn for the screenless times that I never lived and will never get to experience. Times when music was more than background noise, when films demanded your feelings, when art wasn't competing with a machine. Yet somehow, despite the decades between us, voices from before I was born still whisper in my ear, begging for someone that's willing to listen. The same voices that travel through vinyl records and old films and quiet moments still whisper in my ear, begging for someone that's willing to listen. They keep trying to remind me of something that people seem to be slowly forgetting, that art was never meant to be disposable. It was supposed to make us feel. It was supposed to remind us that we are alive. Now, art came looking for me once, and I listened when it called. The question is, will you listen too? Thank you.